All right, good morning, everyone. It's Phil Pugh, Director of Emergency Management here at Memorial Hospital Belleville Shiloh, and your coalition chair on RHCC. We're going to get started with our quarterly meeting today, June 7th. Why does that say the 6th? I'm trying to stay in this month apparently, but today, June 7th, 2023. Here's the agenda. We do have a few things that we are going to touch on. Everything should be pretty standard, but we're going to take a look at the final budget timeline and what were the final budget amounts. Hopefully you guys got a copy to review yesterday. We'll take a look at the coalition meeting survey results and then our current open due outs and tasks that we have across the region. I don't think we have anything that were outstanding, but we'll talk about those things and what's coming up next on the horizon. But first, we'll go ahead and do a quick roll call. Looks like I'll just say we got around 28 folks on the call now. Normally on these coalition or these quarterly meetings, now 29, we normally have a really high attendance, and we've had very high attendance over the previous 4 monthly meetings. But today the VA is conducting an NDMS exercise down at the airport here. And so I know we got a lot of folks that are attending that. If there weren't scheduling conflicts, life wouldn't be what it is as we know it today. So we'll work with what we got. And again, those folks that are attending that can take a look at this later on the recording. So we'll start out with our hospitals. Quick rundown. We'll start with Anderson Hospital. And I know I saw Eric on here. So Eric, if you're there. You are unmuted, I see, but still not hearing anything. But I do got you, and whenever you can check out your audio, we'll get you double caught up for here for Anderson and Staunton. Go to Alton Memorial.
Good morning, Phil. This is Aaron at Alton Memorial Hospital.
Good morning, Aaron. Boyd.
Nancy's here.
Good morning, Nancy. Over at Carlinville Area Hospital.
Tyler's here.
Gotcha, Tyler. Thank you very much. I'll double back on Staunton. I still see Eric there. Did your audio get remedied?
Can you hear me now?
I got you, Lima.
Yay!
And
Anderson.
Exactly. Thank you.
Thank you,
Eric. Fayette County Hospital.
I'm here, Phil.
Gotcha, Tina. Thank you. Gateway Regional.
We're here, Phil.
Our HSH. Thanks, Rick. Is Danielle with you too, or just you?
I believe it's both of us.
Okay, good. I'll just make sure I get you account for. Okay. Down in HSHS partners, starting with Holy Family.
Cindy's here from Holy Family.
Thank you, Cindy. St. E's.
Brad Perry's here with St. E's.
Thank you, Brad. Over to Breeze.
Stacy's here from Breeze.
Thank you, Stacy. And Highland. One more time for Highland. Okay, we'll move over to Jersey.
This is Nick with Jersey Community.
Thanks so much. Then for Memorial Hospital Belleville, you got myself, Mike Gilbert, and Scott Klosterman on. Lee is attending the VA's exercise this morning. Just gave me a call. I got a few announcements from that here in a sec. All right. Let's go on down to Chester Memorial.
Hi, this is Georgia.
Good morning, Georgia. How about our OSF St. Anthony's folks? Anyone from St. A's? Okay. Redbud?
This is Tara. We're here.
Good morning, Tara. Who else is with you?
Me.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's just myself.
Oh, just you. Okay, gotcha. We as in Redbud. I got you. Thank you so much. Sparta.
Dan's here, Phil.
Gotcha, Dan. Thank you very much. And Touche. Yeah, and I'm not sure, Greg, I can't recall if Touche has signed an HPP coordinator, but Amy Francic, who was representing Touche, has moved on to a new position within their organization. So she's no longer the HPP coordinator. So Greg, I don't know if you know a new name yet. Hopefully one will be announced. All right, going over to our health departments. I know we got a lot of health departments that are participating in the VA exercise this morning, but we'll start with Bond County. Calhoun County. Clinton County. Eastside Health District. Fayette. Greene County. Macoupin County.
Derek here, Phil.
Thank you, Derek. Madison County.
Jacob here for Madison.
Jacob, thank you very much. Monroe County.
Vicky here from Monroe.
Thank you, Vicky. And Randolph County.
Deborah Grapper Health.
Gotcha, Deb. That's all I'm about to say. I just saw you in the chat. Thank you. I'm getting lots of notifications for chats. And St. Clair County. I predict that Kara's with Sam representing St. Clair County. I have to learn to turn off these notifications. I got a new version of Teams here, so if you keep hearing a bunch of chimes, that's what you're hearing. All right, over to our community partners and IDPH. We'll start with our REMSC. Greg, are you on?
I am on, Phil.
Good morning, sir. Over to, I know Beth. I'll just double check. Is Beth taking participating?
She's at the NDMS. I think,
Okay,
with the
that's
health
what I
department.
thought. I know they got a good group of folks over there, so good. Our BJC partners. Any of our BJC partners on?
Phil, it's Sean. Good morning.
Good morning, Sean. Thank you very much. Are any of our EMAs on across the counties? You know, Sam is over from St. Clair, is over at the NDMS exercise. Any other EMAs on? How about our good folks, MedStar? I know John, I believe, is participating this morning in the NDMS exercise. Over at Abbott, I thought I saw Leslie. Gotcha, Leslie. Thank you so much. SLU, Scott Air Force Base, and last but not least, I got STARS, but I know they are participating this morning. Anyone from STARS at all?
Bill, this is Nick Holberg representing the Healthcare Coalition, so indirectly STARS.
Well, gotcha. No, I got you too. I got you, Nick. So thank you. And that's one of the things I forgot to add. I do want to add a separate call out for the coalition. So thank you very much.
Brody Eller's on also do some stuff with STARS.
Gotcha. Thank you, Brody. Appreciate it. Anyone else before we move on?
Hey, Phil, this is Heidi Carter with Jersey County Health Department.
Gotcha, Heidi. Thank you. If anyone else does jump on, feel free to just put your information in the chat and I'll make sure that you are accounted for. Thank you very much. We'll go ahead and start out with our traditional folks in our agenda. We'll start with Greg for IDPH. Morning, Greg.
Morning, sir. I really don't have much because I think you're going to touch on, and they don't want to listen to it twice. So I'm sure you're going to touch on the NDMS, correct?
I am. And I'll make one thing I will say, just the one thing that I know Lee just gave me a call about 10 minutes ago before we got started. They do have a new director in charge on that side with the NDMS team. And what they are asking for are updated letters from the hospitals who who are already considered NDMS hospitals, and for those who are showing interest, who were not NDMS hospitals, who are showing interest or would like to become an NDMS hospital. So what I can say is, as far as an advocacy for NDMS is that, or at least on your behalf as hospitals, is that, once you, basically put your commitment in to accept patients as a part of any type of evacuation, we'll just say like a hurricane or what have you, and we bring patients up here, those hospitals are paid, and correct me if I'm wrong, Greg, you guys are paid at a slightly higher rate of whatever CMS would pay. I think it's 1.25%, so 25% above that rate for picking up patients or allocating for patients that may be a part of the NDMS movement. So that exercise is going on, I think, through 12 o'clock today, if not maybe a little longer. So when and if you do get an opportunity to participate, it's always something good to be a part of. I didn't know if you had any other specific things that you wanted to touch on from the NDMS perspective, Greg. So I'll pause right quick, and I do know we see a hand from Eric. So
the only thing that I wanted to ask, just for clarification, so you said there's a new director. I would have been there, but we have our trauma and our EMS in this meeting today.
Pretty stacked.
Is that replacing Eric or no? This is like the director.
Director, correct. It's above, yeah.
Okay, cool. And sorry, Eric, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask the question, Phil, if that director you referred to, I mean, is that something we need to send an email directly to him? Because naturally I got alerted, so I'm sure that Anderson's in there, but Community Hospital Staunton was also an NDMS hospital, and I didn't recall getting a notice from them. So I just wanted to follow up and who we should reach out to with that letter of commitment or whatever is needed.
Yeah, so I did ask, I asked Lee to make sure he conferred with Eric Perham back on the VA side, to whom that needs to be forwarded and sent. I know we just went through it here at Memorial with our letters of intent or what have you, and we're submitting them basically through the entire BJC system of what hospitals are going to be participating hospitals. But I do need to get, he's told me he's going to get the contact information, et cetera. So, they're taking notes. So please be on the lookout for an update from us. And that's something that I'm sure Eric is going to ask us to forward out to the coalition, just to make sure that we're all on the same page. So more to come. But definitely they are trying to look to make it, update and, more a commitment, making sure that those plans, and for those of you, I'm sure many of you have seen copies of the region's NDMS, and I say the region and not our coalition, but the NDMS region, what that plan looks like. And there is a list of hospitals in it currently. I think there, at one point in time, it was 14 out of the 19 hospitals. I don't know if it's that high currently, because from what I understand, some folks did drop out since that plan was last updated. So they want to get a current, I don't call it an address group, but a current list of commitments from our hospitals across the region.
I think it would be a good idea if they could send it to all our hospitals, because several years ago I had that list also, Phil, but it didn't match the list that they had, and I expect corrections, but I don't know that it was ever corrected. So maybe why community didn't get one, because there were several hospitals that I knew had contracts previously that were not on their list. So, I mean, I think it'd be a great to just kind of start from scratch and get that info to everybody. And if somebody doesn't want to participate, then that's great. But I do believe they have some confusion with the multiple people that have changed there.
Indeed. I thought I saw another hand. Chuck, go ahead.
Yeah, the last time I spoke with John, several of the St. Louis hospitals and several of the Illinois hospitals, their contracts had lapsed. Now that I know he's out with this drill this morning and he asked me to attend all the meetings. But you are absolutely correct. We need to get caught up and get all these refreshed. I think what happened is the turnover that many of the hospitals had seen through the years, the contract just didn't make it to the right persons, and they just wound up lapsing. The last time we did this drill, I wound up all the way out in Staunton, doing a live drill, and then having to hurry up and get back before the plane took off. And that was very difficult. So I will speak with John. Of course, you've got the direct contact because it is Eric Parham who is now over this. So working with him, he could help us facilitate getting those contracts back for both Illinois and Missouri hospitals.
Indeed. Thank you, Chuck. For your hand. Okay. So important nonetheless. And you know, we've had in the past times where we were put on alert. And sometimes it may be for something that you don't think you would be put on alert for. So again, a definite need when folks are experiencing a tragedy in some other part of the United States, you know, being able to expand and bring in folks is a plus. So I encourage each and every one of you, especially when you get recontacted back, to if you're not already in DMS and you have never been in DMS hospital, that this is a great opportunity for your organization to help out across the United States. So.
And one other thing I'll add to that, Phil, with NDMS is, and now you take this with a grain of salt, it's what you've heard, but we haven't had an actual NDMS since 2005, and several other regions have had multiple NDMS activations. So apparently that increases our chances of actually being one of the NDMS receiving, because the feds don't like to overwhelm somebody with too many receiving areas, you know, if they've had several over the last decade or so. So, you know, take that for what it's worth, what I heard, but that is what I did hear, that we could be high on the list.
That's a good call out, Chris.
Yeah. The other thing for IDPH, I know you've sent out and you're going to discuss the virtual stuff, but I will tell you in the trauma meeting today, they do plan to do virtual next. I believe the EMS will also be virtual for the next one. And I will tell you that the state EMS advisory and state trauma advisory meetings, which were scheduled to go back in person, are going to remain. I don't know, there may be an open meeting somewhere, but for the most part, they're going to remain virtual as well. IDPH Governmental Affairs weighed in on that and said that that it was okay to continue I don't know if you remember, Phil, prior to the pandemic, the Marion office and the Edwardsville office, now the Metro East office, would host those open meetings, but we are not moving forward like they thought when March 11th ended. So just throw that out there. And then the other thing is I sent to most of the what I call HPP coordinators, emergency response coordinators, that crisis standards of care questionnaire that they wanted filled out. I sent it to the HPP coordinators mainly because quite a number of them are also listed as the emergency preparedness person for the hospital. So my assumption is they sit, you know, in those emergency preparedness meetings that you have that are hospital specific, and that if that is not, you can look at that and see what it is and kind of follow through and see what the questions are. Phil had concerns that you know, it wasn't really specific for the HPP coordinator, and I agree. If you're just the HPP coordinator, I would say it probably isn't for you. It's for either your disaster person or somebody higher up. So forward it on to the most appropriate person that you feel. Phil, did you want to add to that at all? Because that's all I have.
Sure. I will say, if you would, you know, you don't have to, even if you go to that link, what I would do is, or what I did is I went through and like act like I was filling it out, just to see the depth of the questions. So, you know, they have some things that I think the majority of the HPP coordinators probably could provide answers to, but then you're going to need someone on your nursing or maybe part of your patient care, you know, someone on the provider side that understands, you know, what strategies were used, you know, and not just with supplies and equipment and stuff like that. But for instance, I'll give you a, it says describe any strategies and related challenges your facility encountered with the allocation of scarce medical countermeasures, vaccines, therapeutics, etc. I'm trying to think of some others that were here. There's some PPE style questions that are there, and they're logic based. So like if you answer yes to something, it'll expand on what you need to provide there. You know, describe any strategies and related challenges your facility encountered with the allocation of ventilators or other medical equipment during the pandemic. Describe the makeup of your medical ethics committee or similar structure. You know, those are things to where definitely someone on your provider side would have to have some intimate knowledge of. You may have copies of their bylaws that you could probably quote from, but I think, you know, some of that you'll probably have to maybe just do around the table with a few folks. It's only, you know, as filled out, it's only 20 questions, but there's, you know, it's not a lot of yes, no's, you know, that's about half of it. But then after, or not even half of, maybe a third of it. After that, everything is kind of fill in the blank. Tell us about how you did this. Tell us about how you did that. So maybe just a little much for one individual person to fill out. You'll probably need a team of folks, pharmacy, nursing, et cetera, to make it, and supply chain to make sure that you're filling this out. I didn't know, Greg, if there was a timeline on it. I don't recall seeing Teresa with the get it back by this time.
I didn't see a date either. My assumption is they haven't got, I mean, it's maybe a low turn in, because what I got was an email that the people who are collating this asked it to be pushed out again. So my assumption is they haven't got the response numbers they wanted to, but you're right. I did not see a deadline date.
And so I'll reach back out to Teresa just to, you know, hey, how soon do we need it back by? But again, probably something you want to collaborate with. I know here I was just setting up a meeting with some folks from nursing, administration, supply chain, et cetera, to go over the questions and make sure everyone, you know, can complete the responses and basically just get it back to me or Lee, and we'll submit it, but it will be a collective effort. Eric, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm pretty scatterbrained. When was this sent out before? I just want to make sure I'm not doing this again.
It was just this week, so.
Oh, okay. All right. So I didn't do it before. All right. Very good. So what I got from Greg then was the first time it was sent out. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Confused. Thanks.
And Aaron, go ahead. I see your hand. No problem.
Yeah. So I don't recall receiving this, so how would I go about verifying that either one, I'm on the list, and two, if I need to do this?
Aaron, are you at Gateway?
Alton.
Alton.
Alton. It was sent to, maybe the disaster person isn't the same disaster person. It did go to Alton, but it went to the disaster person.
Oh, that's me.
Are you the it is you?
Yep, he's the HPP guy.
Yeah.
Okay, I will, Hazen, right?
Pardon?
Rogers.
What's it?
Aaron
Roger.
ERS.
Okay, I thought maybe you were on there, but I'll send it to you. I'm
Okay.
sorry. I'm going to need to probably send to everybody maybe a Survey Monkey with like 3 or 4 questions asking there's so many changes of who's doing, who is the HPP representative from your hospital, who's your emergency coordinator, who's your ED manager. It's just almost impossible to keep up, but I may have to send one of those surveys out, and then I can share that info with Phil as well, so we can get an update on that. But I will check, Aaron, to make sure that you get a copy of it.
Thank you. Okay. Any other questions for Greg? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. I know Beth again is attending the VA exercise, but I'll pause for if any health departments have any announcements. Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on. I'll pause for STARS and/or the Healthcare Coalition on the St. Louis side. Any announcements?
Good morning, everybody. Again, this is Nick Holberg. Appreciate you guys having us and carving out a spot for us. I do want to apologize too. Originally, you guys had requested a little presentation about how STARS is set up and how the Coalition on the Missouri side operates, and we had originally offered to do that for this month, and then it kind of snuck up on us and couldn't give it the time it deserved. And maybe it worked out with so many people being gone today, but we are planning to hopefully have that ready for July, if that works for your guys' agenda. And if not, for some reason, we can do that whenever that works. I think the only things going on the Missouri side that may be worth sharing, we do have a cash assessment and improvement program project underway. Started that a couple months ago and given ourselves about a year to try to get a real solid picture of where different caches are staged around the region, the status of different resources, the state of readiness, and then essentially work to update those caches, make sure they're able to be deployed, and revise some of our processes for the region for what the coalition's role will be as far as tracking those resources, both in preparedness and potentially during responses. Lee has been a part of that and has offered a little bit of guidance about how you all operate, which has been very helpful. And so we're a little bit behind the curve on some of that, and hopefully we can make some progress there. We're working to update a strategic plan for our coalition, so I was going to bring that up. I don't know if you all have a document that you work off of to set goals over multiple years or anything like that, but that's something we're working towards. And if you guys do have a copy of that, Phil, and be willing to share that, that may be something we could steal some good ideas from you all on that. And that's probably all I have at the moment, unless there's any questions for us.
So Nick, I will forward you our strategic plan, which goes through 2023, and we held a meeting back in January with the kind of the executive committee and we took a look back. Actually, I think November. We took a look back at where we were. We took a look back at those strategics. It was from 2018 to 2023, what we had put in place, where we were. Provided that overview back to the coalition in one of our meetings, and then we held a meeting to kind of look at those items and where we kind of think we need to be heading. So I will provide you what we had, and I am currently consolidating our new strategic 5-year strategic plan, and I will provide that, or you could be a part of, that as well. You, Jason, and the crew, along with our executive committee, because we're going to try to, push that in our future goals. So definitely we'll shoot you the old one, and you guys will definitely probably include you guys in the development of the new one, because as we've been saying over the last 3 to 4 months, as you guys are starting to try to grow and more formalize, we'd like to make sure that we're collaborating as much as possible. That way we don't, waste taxpayers' dollars with duplicative training and a few other areas where we can get a little more bang for our buck across both sides of the river. So
Okay, yeah, perfect. We have to be involved, and once we have a bit more of a good solid draft of the one we're working on, I'd be happy to share that as well, so that you guys can have an idea of what we are looking at over the next several years, and then that might be a good opportunity for us to maybe revise some things as well. So appreciate that collaboration there, and that's all I have.
Thanks, Nick. Any questions for Nick?
This is Brody Eller, and if there's no questions for Nick, I guess I can pause for a little bit, but I have a few things on the Missouri side as well.
Sure, go ahead, Brody.
So I'm part of the advisory council and TCD for the state of Missouri now. So I'll try and also update you guys with any changes they have. I know that trauma is probably the biggest one that would affect you guys on that side of the river. So if you guys have any stuff on a systemic level for the state, I can try to bring those up to Missouri and bring those concerns up. One big thing that came out of the railroad incident with the mass casualty that they're working on the Missouri side on trauma is having a ground contact as like an FAA controller. I know in Illinois with the rural areas and landing, 10, 12, 17 helicopters. I'm not sure if there's a plan on the Illinois side for that, but just as a brief heads up, that SEMA, I believe, is working on a training plan of how they could roll that out to have some qualified people understand some of the aviation knowledge if some event would occur in the rural side of Illinois or in Missouri. So that's all I have.
Thank you very much, Brody. So any questions for either Brody or Nick? All right, hearing none, we'll move on. We will move past our mental health updates this month. Any updates on the pediatric front, Scott?
No, nothing in pediatrics right now.
Okay. What I will say for pediatrics, EDAP, if you want to join, get on it. If you have any questions about it, feel free to email Lee or I regarding if you have never been in EDAP accredited facility. We can walk you through what it's like and what you need to do. So we'll move on. Remert, I got my name, but Mike's on, should be. So Mike, you want to provide some updates for maybe you talk about the race weekend and some things we got on the horizon?
So we just so since our last meeting, Remert went through a week-long deployed training where we trained with North American Rescue in prolonged critical care, basically teaching our medics and our EMTs how to work outside of our ambulance with limited resources for prolonged periods of time. Basically, their final exam for this class was a patient that they were with for over 6.5 hours in a austere environment in a wooded area, and they never once got a chance to get them to an ambulance because of different reasons they threw at them. They also had to hike. They had to carry this patient out almost 2.5 miles out of the woods on a ventilator and medications that to keep their pressure up. So it was a really good class. Everybody liked it. Everybody enjoyed the fact that I made them all come to the training and they stayed on site for the entire 5 days with the instructors. So there was a lot of after hours teaching. There was a lot of team building that happened after hours. So it was a really good class, and we're gonna be looking forward to continuing to advance this class out. And the instructors were really happy. We had a surprise guest appearance from Dr. Keg, the state EMS medical director, who showed up on scene or showed up at the class and just to see what we were training on, and really enjoyed the class and everything that we were doing. So he really liked what we were doing and is very supportive of it. Came out of that, and 2 weeks later we were into the air show where we worked with Scott Air Force Base doing patient care. I don't have the final numbers from John, but I think we saw close to 400 patients over 2 days. And was everything from SVT, new onset SVT, down to one of our ambulances delivered a baby on right after the air show closed. So we kind of had everything going on there. And then we did the NASCAR event last weekend, and I think the field hospital saw about 50 people on Sunday there. Now we're ramping up for July. We have the ISP youth camp that will be providing medical coverage for the entire week that they're at the camp up in Elsa, Illinois. And then August, we will be doing the field hospital for IndyCar. With the field hospital, we had some really good collaboration. So both St. Elizabeth Hospital and Gateway Regional supplied nurses and to work in the hospital, in the field hospital with us. So for NASCAR, we actually deployed with 2 EMS stocks, 5 nurses, 2 paramedics, 2 EMTs, and an ER tech, ER technician. We had 3 paramedics actually there with us. So we had a good team there, and we did really well there. So.
And did you want to talk about did you talk about, there was a lot. Did you talk about the race this past weekend?
Yeah, that was the last thing the race. We saw about 50 patients out of the field hospital. Yeah, so.
All right. So as I always say, Remert's does great work across the region. We try to continue to support them with funding, with grant dollars, as much as possible, because you can see where that's going. It's very tangible results, and especially major event planning that staves off a lot of medical care over the course or duration of some of these large events. And they're there for the big, they're really there for the when or if something were to happen. So shout out to the entire Remert team. I know they get tired, so that's why I'm always pulling for folks to advocate for them, for whether it's nurses, anyone who wants to do supply side stuff, logistical things, could always use help and support. So, all right. Any questions for Mike? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead to the next. Let's see. All right, the BP5 plan review timelines. As we're closing out BP4 or budget period for FY23, we're moving into FY24 on 1 July. As usual, there's always a requirement for annual plan review and governance documents. We do that. So this is where we're looking to do. We're going to start that review, be open on 1 July 2023. Over that time, we are going to have our Mercy exercise, which we'll talk about a little bit, on the 12th of July. The end of that plan review will be on 31 August. And then you guys will all be provided copies of those plans, via link. And then we will look to approve our annual review. And this is one of the times where while we rarely vote on things, this is one of those times where we will vote to approve those plans on that day. So 6 September, mark that on your calendar. Definitely need folks here. But we definitely want to hear your feedback between 1 July and August 31st. So you guys can start reviewing those products now. You all should have copies of those. You can start making notes. But once you start making notes, what you're going to do is, I will say this too. There will be 2 documents there that will be newer documents that we did not have before. The chemical surge annex, that is a part of this year. That's one of the ASPR deliverables, that we have a chemical surge annex. So that will be something new. It will be closely akin to what we just did for the radiation annex, just a chemical version of that. And then what you'll see, the continuity of operations annex. So that one will be, we talked about this several months ago, and we kind of, I'll say we voted, but the general consensus was that we were going to extract the continuity of operations information out of the current EOP, Regional Emergency Operations Plan, because the continuity of operation information is kind of embedded within that. And the goal was to extract that, and that's fine, but the goal was to extract that just so you can kind of see it in a more sterile environment, so it's not mixed in with all the other stuff that's there. I think that's a good call when we made that decision. So you will see that as a newer document. So if I were to ask you, things that where I wanted to see your focus, are going to be on the 2 newer documents. The ones that you have in previous years, they're there. It's information. It's stuff that really doesn't change a lot. But if you do see some things, or you want to add something, or you feel something needs to be taken out, this is your opportunity to provide that information. And for those of you who have never been a part of that process, this is what the process really looks like. You'll have this link is the link that you will, you can follow this link right now. It'll take you to like a box repository, an online repository, where you will download our comment review matrix, which is here. And this is all you see in the red text there is just an example of how you are to provide comments. We do not send documents back and forth and track changes, all of that, because it's way too messy. This will distill your comments into a spreadsheet. You can keep those for yourself. What we do is we'll consolidate all of them, and then we'll take those and we will, that way we can see it across the entire region. So you'll download that and you will send your comments to the info@swillhope.org mailbox. Okay. So we want to hear from you. If you, even if it's administrative, if you see a misspelled word, that's fine. Greg used to be really good at that. He was like the spelling guru that would point out any and every time Phil misspelled a word, because Phil does a lot of misspelling sometimes, especially if I don't have my spell check on. But I've gotten better over the years. Thanks, Greg. But if you see something more substantive, so you'll have the ability to put in administrative reviews, substantive reviews, basically saying, oh, that's a procedural error that doesn't align with IEMA's or IDPH's plan, or what have you. Those are substantive things. Oh, this doesn't exist anymore. That's a substantive comment. And we want your feedback. So this is your opportunity. This will be your opportunity. You can get a jump on it now. You will see the draft versions have a ton of line numbers on the side. So that's what will keep us all in line. So when it asks you for the page number, just put the page number and the line number in which you are requesting that change, and then provide us what you see and what need and how you would recommend changing it. Not any and everything is changed. Sometimes we'll reply back to you and say, hey, oh yeah, you may believe that this is how it is, but here's the support and this is how it is. So some of your changes may not be adopted, but we'll try to give you rationale back on why we did not incorporate that change. Okay. And again, you just email that completed comment review matrix to info@swillhope. and we'll be able to look at all that. I know I saw a few things in the chat. Let me just take a quick look. Okay. No, so Chuck, you said no, so they'll be at that link there that you see on the screen right now. So they're not in there now. You will just see the comment review matrix there, but on 1 July, all of the documents will be there in draft form so you can review them. Let me see. Okay.
Will help with your exploration.
Phil, did you see the recognition that I gave that the
I'm just
CEO of
looking at that
NASCAR?
now. Yep. Go ahead. If you wanted to say something on that now, go ahead and you can just you can say it. Chuck, did you want to just say what did you have in there? Because I know some folks can't read the chat.
I apologize. I muted myself at the same time. The CEO of NASCAR went on KMOX and had nothing but accolades and
were there other questions?
Was extremely pleased with our performance medically. So to be honored in that respect was a great thing.
That was, and yeah, that was awesome to see. So thanks again. And one thing I think we learned a lot from the last one. So and in learning those, uh-oh, I think we got someone who is unmuted. I got you. Now you're muted. It's okay. But I think we learned a lot from the previous event, and then that helped shape what we did, or what the team did on this event. So great stuff. Any questions on the comment review matrix or the plan review process? Okay, hearing none, so we'll be looking forward to your comments, and we will get them incorporated as needed, and then we will put this one to bed another year on September 6th. So, all right, here's a final review of the budget and where we're at. The bottom line didn't change. So you did see, many of you probably saw a similar slide last week, or excuse me, last month. But here's the updated amounts, totals, and percentages of that. Not a ton of changes, just some kind of jockeying around that we do have in the budget, which is good. One of the things that we all made a conscious choice of back in November, or was it November or December of last year, was the understanding that we had a big replacement project, and that replacement project was the equipment. As you see that big line item, that's one item, and again, that is, just so everyone knows, that is replacing or upgrading. I can't call it replacing totally, but upgrading the Philips telemetry set that we have for, I'm using air quotes when I say field hospital, because we'll never use it in a field scenario, but we did use it. We've used it several times over the last 5 or 6 years in real world emergencies. Definitely used it for COVID and used it for a few other things as well to help some of the hospitals out across the region. Everything else, there's a lot of must pays there. We see the rental monies, those are for our regional warehouse, which we've got the keys to and we've been working towards. Matter of fact, we're just about to close on a forklift for that warehouse, so we will be all good to go probably in a month or so with putting real assets into that warehouse. Some of those assets we may pull from some of the resource hospitals. We'll be in direct contact with you, but that we think that some of those assets will be better served in the regional warehouse, and some other assets will be better served at the resource hospital level. So we're working on that, and we will definitely incorporate all the resource hospitals in any of those choices as a part of the decision-making process, so we can make sure our logistics is really thought out across the region, to the best of our ability. So Not a lot of supplies. All the telecom and Starcom stuff we pay for is there. And as you can see, training education, we only got like $7,000 set aside for that. Last year, that number was, I think, $124,000 for all the classes that we brought in. And our equipment was about, I don't think we had any money in equipment last year. We did, again, we just bought this forklift, so we did a budget revision to get the forklift in equipment. But that's pretty much the layout of the budget. The projects that are out there, I made sure I incorporated everyone here. These are your projects that you have out there. We have everything from still preparing for larger CBRN events that could happen, or pandemic level preparedness, decon, a little bit of everything there. One note that I am going to make, we were running short on funds, and I believe Monroe County was suffered the brunt of running short on funds, and we worked with the team at Monroe to make sure we got, that number that they requested was around $25,000, so we're about 92% the way there, but we ran short on funds, so we had to cut some of that. But as luck would have it, that number was 16,000. We had to cut it down to 15 or 16,000, and we were able to increase it to 21.9. And now, again, like I said, as luck would have it, there is one item that we just got an updated quote for in the budget that's going to be slightly cheaper. So we will probably be able to get upwards to that $25,000 original request for projects. So almost $100,000 in project requests. Again, it seems like our hospitals and our health departments are every year they really put in a lot of project requests, and that's good. That's what the money's for. That's what we want you to do. The one and REMERT, while REMERT technically falls under St. Clair Special Emergency Services as an organization, I would say that Memorial kind of is the lead there. So we're always putting in projects there, and we support REMERT like I kind of discussed. So they're our kind of EMS/field hospital area where we spend a lot of funds in education, training, supplies, and sometimes equipment. Very rarely do we do equipment there. But what I'm trying to get across is that our EMS folks, don't seem to don't seem to take advantage or submit any project requests. And I'm not sure if we're selling it enough, or some folks are just afraid of the budget process and or just getting grant dollars in general. But I think, each year we get better and better on at least our grants management office across BJC gets better and better with putting together the necessary subaward paperwork and working with you to get all of the grant surveys or the federal surveys out the way. It's not a very difficult process. It's a meticulous process, but it's not a difficult process. So I just would encourage our folks on the EMS side to look to try and get some of those grant dollars for some small projects. Sometimes it could be some small equipment or minor equipment or specific supplies that you need to for surge operations, or maybe a training class. I know I saw one of the questions someone had. Oops, I just raised my hand. I was trying to look at the chat. There was a question from Tyler. It says, how do we apply for this grant money? So every year, starting on 1 July each year, the project proposals open up. And we've pushed it back down, and you'll see this in those bylaws, but we kind of agreed to shrink down the project request timeline to November, I think, 15th, instead of December 31st. That puts us in a better position. But those are for the upcoming year. So while we enter FY24, that project proposal window will open up 1 July to the middle of November for 2025. So that would start 1 July 2024, so 2025. And you submit that online and then submit your support. So say you wanted to purchase CBRN PPE for your decon team. You can put that in a project proposal and basically say, what's your rationale? We ask for a brief justification, and then we review those, and then we approve them as needed, so to speak. So, and there's only been 1 or 2 instances where we've had to deny a project. Most of these have gone through without any question. So it's not a difficult process. So yeah, so if you guys are in need of decon stuff, definitely you can work with me or Lee. We'll get you through it without issue. Trust me. But back to my EMS folks, you guys should be. I would say you guys should be taking advantage of that. One thing that I did worry about this year with the budget is that because we have, I'll give the short version of this, but when we have projects that exceed $25,000, our indirect costs go up. That means whether it's the level of effort or what Memorial has to put towards the grant, because the grant at $522,631, Memorial has to pay 10% of that. Now, we've been paying that, just so you guys know. So I'm gonna go back 1 slide. So we pay that additional $52,263 or $60 we do that through effort. So when you see salaries on here, part of that is my salary, part of that we receive from the feds, part of that's Lee's salary, part of that's Scott's salary. And when Eric was here, part of that was Eric's salary, and it will be when we fill our position on the other side. But we give back in effort. So our jobs are parsed up to where we are providing effort to pay for that $52,000. So while I may get, let's say, a nominal amount, I'm just going to say $5,000 that goes towards my salary, I have to give back $5,000 in effort to match that. So that's how we've been doing in the past. And what that does is that relieves the project proposal. So if you had a project proposal for, let's say, $25,000, and I'll just use Monroe County as that example, basically Monroe County would have to cut us a check for $2,500. So it's a 90%, we would fund it up to 90%, but we're funding that through effort, energy, doing exercises, building plans. All the, part of my daily job is to help fulfill that requirement. So we've tried to make it as easy as possible for you guys, and we'd like to continue to do that. But when we have a large amount of projects, this is a pretty large amount of projects that we had, totally fine. But the money starts to get short. So we got, and this year I gave the example of Monroe County's being cut a little bit. So what I would say is that we may need to start looking at some limitations on the dollar value and or requiring those who submit projects to pay outright that 10% of the project, if that makes sense. So we'll probably set up a meeting with the executive committee to kind of discuss those things. And plus we have other grants that are out there as well. We have FEP monies that are out there, and we have other grants that folks hopefully are taking advantage of. And I don't want to totally limit folks from applying for projects, but I do want to make sure that we are getting the most out of these each year. And we have been doing a great job. We've been doing a great job, but maybe this is an area where we can do a little bit better. So, all right. Any questions regarding the current grant and where the fund's going? Any specific questions about projects? We have folks that are online if they would like to discuss those, that could talk about some of their projects if they wanted to. But I'll pause for a second for any questions.
Hey, Phil, it's Greg.
Hey.
Did we get 501c status ever or no?
No, nope. Yeah. You talking about the as a tax-free, as a independent 501c3? No.
Okay. I was just thinking maybe that could be a path to some donations or something. I thought Mary, Region 5 might have done it, but I don't know that for sure. But okay.
Any other questions? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on. Our coalition meeting schedule. So you guys probably received, everyone received a survey to fill out that basically asks, hey, how do we want to proceed? We're just coming out of, the executive order stopped, I guess, May 11th. There was a point in time pre-COVID where we got together face to face. 2 meetings we'd have over at Anderson, 2 meetings we'd have here at Memorial Hospital in Belleville. We'd all see each other. We'd have like drinks and when I say drinks, like fruit punch, coffee, orange juice, water, and pastries, donuts, etc. We'd see each other in our live, and we'd have a great meeting, and then everybody would leave. So Tina would drive all the way in from Fayette. Sue would come in from Staunton. Nancy would make it down from Boyd. A lot of folks took some long trips. Over COVID, obviously, we went to primarily virtual, and the question was basically, do we keep our current meeting schedule as is? We meet monthly each month, and then our quarterly meetings are a little longer. We normally schedule 2 hours for the quarterly meetings because this is an opportunity for us to have more open dialogue, and if we need to vote on anything, we do that then and there. Or have both, or just go to quarterly, or continue with our monthlies and quarterlies, and if we wanted to do some form of in-person meetings. So these were the results that we got. So 16% of you guys said, hey, straight up, let's just go back to in-person meetings. 50% said, nope, just stay online. And then a third of you guys basically had some form of other. So I put a good mix of some of the responses that we have here just by sanitizing them. I think you would be able to tell who said it if I would have left it the same. But right here, it says both 2 quarters in person, 2 quarters online. They've got there some both in person and online, so a hybrid of that. Consider a hybrid for the 2-hour quarterly meetings. Some folks want to be in person with a virtual option, and that's what we would do in the past. We would also have a Teams link out there. Mix of person and line. We have mandatory wins. Somebody had a specific case example that kind of prohibits them from being here or attending most of our 10 o'clock meetings. So that one's just kind of a wash. But Greg was saying earlier, he said that some of the trauma meetings, the EMS meetings, et cetera, are going to maintain virtual. I see Chuck says I like the virtual option, but if you do both, it would help us. So I just like to pause here because this wasn't a full representation of everyone in the coalition because not everyone filled it out, but this is where we're at. So I'd like to get some feedback from some folks if they wanted to speak up now because they didn't fill out the survey. But I'd like to hear what your thoughts are on the current meeting schedule and what you'd like to see going forward. Okay, I see a hand, and that was, we'll go with Aaron. Looks like your hand was up first. Go ahead, Aaron, and then we'll go to Tina after that.
Aaron Alton, I would vote for on Teams for the monthly meetings, but then the quarterly in person.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. Tina?
Bill, when I filled out the survey, I didn't take into consideration like the trauma meetings at 7:30 in the morning, then the next one's followed 8:30. And if we're traveling to go in person, because I was the one that did the first one, I think, then if you're traveling, then you have to either listen while you're driving or some other means. So I didn't take that into consideration.
So just so I'm clear, are you saying that because the trauma and stuff would stay virtual, you would be driving in the case of coming up to Anderson or here at Belleville or other location? You know, we could say we could move to another location. So you would basically have to be listening and driving at the same time and, you know, getting settled. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And you think that'd probably be a little less, it'd be a little more inconvenient that way. Or I don't know if the word's inconvenient, but a little messy. I don't know. That's right.
A little messy.
Okay, that works. Okay, so thank you, Tina. Rick?
Yeah, honestly, I like the in-person meetings. I understand for people that live, you know, pretty extensively far away, it's a burden. I guess one of the benefits, it's kind of intangible, but when and if we ever get in these exercises and or an actual MCI or a disaster, I mean, it'd be beneficial, in my opinion, to place a name with a face, so you could recognize, you know, immediately who you're dealing with. You know, for whatever it is, I'm old school. What can I tell you?
No, appreciate that, Rick. Perspective's always great. I see Dan's here, monthly, virtual, quarterly, 2 live, 2 virtual. Okay, so you're saying, so basically what you, Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, you're basically saying have basically 2 live meetings a year, maybe the summer, fall meetings.
Yeah, I think the monthly is good virtual, but the quarterly, I agree with everybody else. It is nice to interact with people personally once or twice a year, just to put a name with a face, and because we may be counting on each other pretty heavily if it ever hits the fan.
Indeed. Okay. So at least what I'm hearing, so I'm hearing a good mix of this still. So in the end, it'll probably be like 59-41 if we kept going to basically be online or some form of hybrid. I think that's what folks are saying, having an option. Definitely would like to see some folks. So I'm taking this just in feedback, and I think what we'll probably do is maybe set up for actual vote on this. I don't think it's good to do it just now, but to be able to hear folks, give folks an opportunity to take this back, chew on it a little bit, and then do it for a vote, you know, going forward to see where we're at. So, and we may do that. I may do that. We've done digital votes in the past because I'd like to get everyone's feedback, you know, because some folks are not able to be here today. Chuck, I think the spring would be better in person. Yep, gotcha. Tina, were you about to say something else? I saw you light up. Okay, take that as a no. Nope. Okay. One thing we do have to vote on. So I'm gonna again, one of those times where we don't get an opportunity to vote. We need to do a vote on the budget. And last year we did this kind of as an abstention. I need somebody to make a motion to vote, and then we can hold a vote via abstention. You know, unless someone has a disagreement with this, they can be heard. Would anyone like to make a motion to vote on the budget as written?
Chuck will so motion to vote on the budget as it is.
As is. Anybody like to second that motion?
Aaron Rodgers at Alton, I second.
Okay, and we'll, in casting the vote, because we have enough here for a quorum, I would say, unless you have a reason not to vote yay for this, please speak up now if you would like to object to the vote as is. Hearing no objections, we will move. Uh-oh, saw a hand. Go, Eric. Just as I was about to bang the gavel.
Yeah, I know. I got in under the wire. So the thing I had, I sent you an email because Community Hospital Staunton, somewhere along the line, I got approval for some funding, and I don't know about your FY24 BP5 stuff. you know, what that stands for. So that maybe that's where I'm old and confused. But let me see. Just sent it to you. So this was something that I got approved back in December of 2022. And my understanding it was going to be for FY24. And it was a small amount of money.
Okay. How much was it, Eric? Do you know?
Yeah, I'm trying to open it, Phil. My memory's not that good. Hold on. Project request. Allow. Waiting.
It's okay. But while that's going, the question is making sure that yours is incorporated. Is that would that be accurate?
That's pretty much it. Yeah. Hold on. It didn't open for me. Let me see if I can pull it out of my file again. You can go on to something else if you want. I'll get around and raise my hand when I get an opportunity.
No problem. What I will say is that if you know it's probably less than $10,000, if that's close,
It indeed was less than 10,000. I think it was closer to around 5 would be my guess. So.
Definitely, I will say this. Definitely 5,000. We can get incorporated. It will take a budget revision, but we do have that play. We'll have to get that. We'll have to get you added to it, but that is possible. I will just say it's possible. It won't. It will just. We normally. I'll let everybody know. We are actually 34 days ahead of schedule from we were last year, which was a record year for clearing, for making it all the way through the wickets, from our grants management office up to IDPH, et cetera. We're 34 days ahead of schedule, which is, I'm ecstatic about it. It's the fastest we've ever been where we're at right now. So I believe we can incorporate Staunton into this budget, but it just will have to be just at a slightly later time. But in the end, in practicality, as you normally don't get a chance to spend that money till February, March of the next year. And what I would say is that would be still doable this year, especially if it's not major equipment. If it's just supplies or something like that, it's going to be really easy.
Yeah, I like I said, I have the approval that was sent to me, saying it was approved, and it's for right around 5,000.
Okay.
Like I said, I saw it on your pie chart, and it wasn't listed. So.
Okay, I got it. I got it. I will. We will take a look at it.
Okay.
We will. I'm confident we can make it happen. I see the email. I just don't see the dollar amount. But okay.
Right. Thanks, Phil.
Mm-hmm. With Eric's details there, again, anyone opposed to approving the budget with the caveat of incorporating Staunton into the mix? Five Mississippi. Okay, so hearing none, this will move forward as written, and Eric we'll just work with you. And if it was on my end that we missed something, that my apologies, but we'll get it squared away. All right. Rare do we have full official business, but that's one of those times where we kind of do it. So I'll pause here, take a look at the upcoming events. So yep, new grant year starts 1 July. Project submissions will open 1 July. You'll see an email come from Member Planet saying that those are open, so you'll get those. There is no coalition meeting, so to my St. Louis coalition partners, we don't have a coalition meeting on the 5th next month. We normally push it back 1 week anyway, just because it's always right around the 4th and people are out of town or just celebrating the 4th. Hopefully not blowing their hands off with fireworks. We don't need any traumas locally. But then we're basically using that time that we're canceling there and pushing it to the Mercy exercise on the 12th. Okay. For those of you who signed up, I did send out another email. I didn't get anybody email back and saying, no, we do not want to participate. So my expectation is that those, I think it was 7 hospitals that signed up, that they are participating. You will receive a letter this week before Friday. That will basically be your invitation letter. It'll come via email. It'll be addressed to your hospital administrators, and it will detail what we need from you on that date. Again, the Mercy exercise is the replacement for the Coalition Surge test. It is now the medical response surge exercise for the Coalition, similar in vein to the Coalition Surge test. Just a little bit different. We are going to be using this exercise to knock down several requirements for ASPR for our grant that we have. One of those being the tabletop for the chemical. It'll be for in preparation for our chemical surge annex. Because we will have a chemical component to it that will do that. It will also knock out a few other small things that we have in our work plan. I won't detail those because I give you all the exercise now. But the largest piece is the actual surge component to the exercise. It will be a functional exercise. It won't be a full scale, so no one will be receiving patients or anything like that, but there will be some paper patients for your EDs to tackle and deal with that will be separate apart from your actual command and control and overarching exercise for the Mercy. So it's going to be really good. Lee and I have been working on it, and Scott, we're incorporating a lot of things to it. So really looking for your support. So when you receive your email this week, if you, for whatever reason, you cannot participate, I need to know immediately because I will be gone next week. I won't be here. Lee will be here next week. So he's participating in some stuff with the St. Louis Coalition, but he'll be working here next week. I will be out of town. So please send that to me and Lee. Don't leave either one of us off of an email saying that you can't participate. We do have a first receiver decon course on the 26th here at Belleville, Memorial Hospital here. The Coalition plan review deadline is 31 August. The plan vote will be September 6th at our Coalition meeting on that date. And remember, comment review matrix, download it and send us your comments that way. No track changes and all that type of stuff. Please. Belleville Marathon is September 30th. Your project submission deadline, again, it will open up 1 July, close 30 November. 30th of November, it will close. And Eclipse preparation is going to start somewhere around here. I don't know if Greg or anyone at IDPH has started any additional meetings, but if it's anything like the last one, they'll probably ask you, they'll probably do some bed queries for it and ask if you guys are treating any folks who have injuries as a course of the solar eclipse. And you'd be surprised. There are injuries. People looking up, not watching where they're going, get hit by cars, fell down some steps, etc. We've had it all. And I don't know if IDPH works with all the optometrists to see if they've provided any information last year. I never found out about that, but the hospitals will, I'm sure, be queried. Greg, anything on that right now that you know about? Have they started those discussions?
They have started them. They're lying in IEMA, from what I understand. Did have a schedule that got canceled, and I have not seen it rescheduled. So, as I said, the talks are going, but they really seem to be housed in IEMA right now. So, I'm sure more to follow, as you said.
Indeed.
Hey, Phil.
Yes.
So I not on the medical side. I know starting next week, we're starting the statewide communication planning meeting for the eclipse. So we're actually going to start physically doing calls starting next week for it.
Awesome. Okay. Thanks, Mike. And Chuck, just do something in chat. Let's see what that says before you. Okay, they had a meeting yesterday down in Randolph County with the new EMA director, but you weren't able to attend. Okay, well, that's good. I know folks are, yep. It's gonna be, you know, we have the crazy luck of it crisscrossing us in pretty much the exact same position. So hopefully you guys, if you're not responding to some form of major event planning, or even if you are a part of event planning, you get an opportunity to step outside with proper protective eyewear and view the eclipse. It was pretty awesome, as they always are. But for some folks, it's a once in a lifetime occurrence. So, and again, floor is open. Anyone have anything they need to bring the attention of the coalition or otherwise? Any important information?
Aaron Rogers, I checked the email. That was sent to you last night about 9 p.m. So you probably haven't seen it, but for some reason, if you didn't get it, would you please reach back to me by email and let me know? I would appreciate that.
Okay, we'll do. I'll double check on that. I had a kind of a busy morning. I did want to bring one thing up to the coalition, so to Greg and to Phil and Lee. I just found out yesterday that our contractors are gonna do another round of shutdown of our OR over the weekend. So it's, you know, same song, different verse. It'll shut down. The only difference will be that this Saturday, it'll shut down Saturday, and they won't open it back up until Sunday afternoon. But I will email you all the details.
Second verse, same as the first. Okay.
Yep, pretty much. Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron. Thanks for situational awareness. Anyone else? All right. Hearing none, we're going to go ahead and close this out. I appreciate everyone's time and effort over the last couple months. I will put one more plug out there for the Mercy exercise. Looking for anyone who wants to be a facilitator at one of our organizations, please reach out to me. If you've got a nursing or EMS background, it would be beneficial because we're going to have some folks out doing some actual things with folks in the ED. It won't take a lot. It's not super difficult at all. But we'd like to leverage some of our partners out there to assist us in making sure that this exercise is a success. Remember, it is July the 12th. It's scheduled for 4 hours. I think it'll probably be right around 3 hours total, from 10 to probably 1. At the worst, it'll go through to 2 o'clock, but I highly doubt it goes all 4 hours. So, all right, everyone. Thank you.
Hey,
uh-oh, somebody.
Where's it? Is that posted on the website about the Mercy exercise?
You talking about within Member Planet? No, it's not. It's not as a day. I can't put it out there as an event though. I definitely can put it out there as an event. We did the initial one posted as a survey for those dates, and when we got those responses back, but it's not posted as an event. But we can put it out there as an event. I just don't know. We can definitely put it out there so it's on the calendar at least.
Not to delay this meeting, but exactly what is the exercise that's taking 3 hours?
I mean, just like it's a surge exercise. So it's a lead tabletop / again, we're making it more of a functional that'll go through. So it goes through 3 modules. So in previous years, every time we did the CST, it was right around 3 hours. I mean, it incorporates the after actions portion of it as well. So, so 2.5 hours or so of actual doing things, open discussions, facilitate discussions, and actual work or stuff to do. And then roughly 45 minutes of the AAR goes into that.
And this is called Mercy, right?
Yep.
What's the Mercy stand for?
Medical response surge exercise. And the previous one was the Coalition Surge Test. At least that was the name. So
I was just confused because I thought you were saying Mercy, MERCI.
Yeah.
radio.
MRSC.
Thinking, let's take 3 hours to do a mercy.
Yeah, hopefully I wasn't saying
Okay.
MRSA. So I was.
Sorry for my ignorance.
No problem. No problem. No, we like to get this out. Tina, I see your hand up. No problem. Tina, if you're speaking, you're on mute. But your hand was up. Your hand's up again.
Sorry. All I wanted to know was, I think Greg probably asked you the same question that I'm going to ask you again. But so you're going to send out an email, or there'll be something come out from someplace for you to know that we're going to participate. Is that correct?
So that one already went out for those who were participating, who wanted to participate. Now, as with every exercise, there's gonna be a request for beds. You know, there will be an EM resource. So partially everyone's going to be participating, but those who will actually be a part of the facilitated discussion, that's the part that I need to make sure that you're on. And if you weren't on if you did not submit on the original, if you want to be a part of it, just let me know. I don't know the list of folks now off the top of my head. I would have to go back and look, but I know Gateway, Boyd, I think St. E's, Memorial will be participating. So I'm going to send everyone, those folks who did submit and put their hands up, said they want to participate, their final email, basically inviting or, reminding them that this is happening and what it's all about. It's a kind of a formal letter, so to speak. So if you want to participate, Tina, it's not too late. All right. That said, again, if you got questions, concerns, you guys shoot me or Lee an email. We'll get right back to you. Again, appreciate everyone's time and stay safe out there, and we'll talk to you next month. Ciao.